What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update today, and news seems to be moving fast at Tottenham at the moment, and it's not even July yet and we've got already 2 transfers in, or 3 if you count Dejan Kulusevski as well, and there's rumours of even more incomings very soon. And we're going to start off with Mickey van de Ven of Wolfsburg. Romano gave us the update saying that Tottenham have opened direct talks with Wolfsburg for Mickey van de Ven. Dutch centre-back is among the top targets. Verbal proposal set to be submitted as van de Ven is keen on the move. The Mail suggest that they say that it is understood that new focus is on 3 main centre-back targets, but Clement Longley isn't one of them, and they are Bayer Leverkusen's Edmund Tapsoba, Mickey van de Ven of Wolfsburg, and Fulham's Tosin Adarabioyo.
Yeah, and that's quite encouraging. First of all, I'm happy with the Longley news, for sure. When it comes to Mickey van de Ven, what Romano said was that Spurs have open talks with van de Ven. He said that Tapsoba is still an option, but he's more expensive, which kind of worried me a bit. That kind of implied that we're going for one of van de Ven or Tapsoba, and we're going for van de Ven because he's cheaper. That does worry me a bit. I really hope we're going for both, to be honest, and that would be the perfect situation. We get both those centre-backs in. Van de Ven definitely seems to be a really good young up-and-coming centre-back. He's really tall, 6'3", yet one of the fastest centre-backs in Europe, and I think the fastest in Bundesliga. Really good on the ball as well. Good at carrying the ball forward. Can play left-back as well. Had a handful of appearances at left-back for Wolfsburg. Available for a fairly modest price of about 30 million euros, they're saying. So I think this ticks a lot of boxes for Tottenham. 22 years of age. I think he's definitely a centre-back of the mold that we should be looking at rather than a Clement Longley, in my opinion.
And he's got stats as sort of ball-playing ability that are really second to none. I think he looks unbelievable with his progressive pass and his ball-playing ability. So I think he'll be a very astute signing if we could get him. Liverpool are sniffing around at the moment, so I imagine if we want to get this over the line, we have to be pretty quick. But those are the links at the moment. Apparently Spurs have opened direct talks with Wolfsburg for Mickey van de Ven. You did touch on my Edmund Tapsoba update, so we'll go through it anyway. And Romano says Tapsoba remains among the options on the Spurs list, but he is more expensive. And what you're saying before in terms of it seems like it's an either or, I always thought that was the case, to be honest. I didn't think we were going to get both Tapsoba and Mickey van de Ven. I think it's a bit of a stretch to get both of them in. When you're thinking about getting both of them in, you're thinking one of them has to be on the bench, one of them has to be starting, and I imagine they'd both want to come in at starting roles. So can you see it as being realistic to bring both of them in?
Why not? I don't see why not. We want to bring a player. We want to bring Tapsoba can play the right or the left, so he can cover both positions. What we want healthy competition. I don't see why we can't have 3 good centre backs. That doesn't seem like an issue to me.
It's not maybe what we want. It's maybe what the player wants and the minutes that they can get.
They can get, but I think they could all get good minutes, and I think there will be a good battle between the 3. I don't see why that should be a big issue, in my opinion. To have 3 good centre backs at the club, there should be healthy competition. The backups shouldn't be of Longley quality; they should be of, the quality that we're talking about here. Yes, Tapsoba might be a bit more expensive. But he should be coming in with a Van de Ven, and they should both be battling out for minutes. Romero shouldn't be guaranteed a place as well. He should be battling out with those. So I don't see a reason why we shouldn't be going for all 3. I don't see why it should be unrealistic.
Because I just feel like with a season in Europe, without a season in Europe, with less football to play, I just can't see it being. I can see it, like, obviously I want it, and there's no 2 ways about it. Of course I want those kind of qualities as backups and first choice, and have healthy competition with the quality not dropping whether you take out the first choices and the second choices. But I just can't see it being realistic from the players' side, being like, if we're going to sign 2 top players for one position, will they actually both come? I just can't see it happening.
Why not? I don't see why not. I don't see why they should be deterred because we're signing another centre-back. They'll probably have confidence themselves that they can get their number 1 position. Most top clubs have more than 2 good centre-backs. So I don't see why they should be looking at that and thinking, I'm not going to come because I'm not going to get any minutes. I think that's not the attitude. If they think like that, then fine, then they shouldn't come. I don't think that would be their attitude, though. I don't want to play with that kind of attitude. I want a player that's going to come and think, I'm going to be playing week in, week out. I'm going to steal that number 1 spot. And I don't see why they wouldn't have that attitude coming to a big club like Tottenham.
Yeah, look, I think if we were in Europe, there'd be more of a case for it. But being outside of Europe, is there enough game time for all of them to share the position?
There's cups. I mean, look, it's going to be a bit restricted, but hopefully we'll be back in Europe next season anyway. So it's only one season. I don't look, and look. There's again, there could be an injury, and then all of a sudden they're in the one of them's in the team. I can see there being rotation if they're all like playing quite well. Other centre back, like other clubs, even not in Europe, also have a good backup as well. I mean, other teams have rotation, even
but
teams not in Europe.
which clubs are you talking about that even outside of Europe you're saying that have two quality players in both of those positions, right and left centre back? I can't think of one.
I don't have all the Premier League squads in front of me, but teams.
Yeah,
have
but if you're saying
rotation.
it, you must have one team in mind. Like, there's no one.
I don't have anyone in mind because I haven't thought about it, but I'm just saying that teams in general have good rotation. Like, obviously, look, we don't want to be one of those teams on Europe, so I don't want to compare ourselves to those teams because I want to compare ourselves to teams in Europe. And at the end of the day, we should be looking to have good options at centre back. We shouldn't be not degrading, but we shouldn't be downgrading our options just because these players fear they're not going to get the game time. I don't think that should be an issue that they come across. Obviously, we shouldn't be stockpiling centre backs right now, but I think signing two good quality centre backs shouldn't be an issue this window, in my opinion.
All right, let's move on and let's talk about another good centre-back in Alessandro Bongiorno of Torino. The Mail saying that Tottenham are interested in Torino's 24-year-old captain and central defender Alessandro Bongiorno. Just got his first or second call-up to the Italian national squad. Seems like a really top player, the Torino captain as well. What are you thinking of him?
Yeah, he also seems like a really good prospect. 24 years of age. Just recently, last season was made the captain. Got recent call-up to Italy as well. I don't think he played any minutes, but he got a call-up for the first time. Really tall defender. Seems like he's really progressing very quickly at Torino as well. To be captain at that age as well is very impressive, shows leadership skills. Whether he'll want to leave so quickly after becoming captain at a young age, that's obviously a question mark, but clearly a defender we should definitely be having our eye on. Whether he's going to be more expensive because he's captain rather than some of the other ones we're looking at, I don't know. But come from Torino is obviously not as big a club as a Wolfsburg or a Leverkusen, I don't think. But he definitely seems like a very promising defender. Again, ticks a lot of the boxes that we're looking at.
Yeah, dominant aerial ability with his defensive play. I'm not too sure about his ball playing ability and playing out the back. I'm not sure if he's as stronger maybe as a Tapsoba or a Mickey van der Ven, but maybe he is definitely one that we should be looking at after those two. If we can't get those two targets in, I'd much prefer Mickey van der Ven and a Tapsoba. So I think he should be a bit maybe later down in the list than those two.
Yeah, probably. I think the other two at the moment seem to be what we're looking at, but he definitely seems like a very promising prospect.
Next up, let's talk about some wingers, and Harvey Barnes is on the list. Ryan Taylor says that a young, versatile world player is also on the agenda for Postecoglou, and Leicester attacker Harvey Barnes is among the names towards the top of that shortlist. And if you're getting a James Maddison for 40 million, how much do you reckon a Barnes costs then?
Well, Barnes, I think, has a bit longer in his contract, so maybe that fixes. So I do think it's probably a similar price, between 35 and 40 million. He's still a very good winger. Is he the kind of winger that I would look at in terms of as being a perfect fit for what we want? I think he's probably a good fit. I think he can probably do play the system fairly well, but I don't know if he's the perfect fit. I'd rather a winger who's a bit better at dribbling than Barnes. Barnes is more of a forward in terms of like he gets in good goal scoring positions. He's a good finisher. I don't think he's the best dribbler, and we already he's not a bad dribbler, but I don't think he's a great dribbler, and we already have some good dribblers already in the squad. So I don't know if he fulfills the need of being that great dribbler that we need as a young winger. So, and especially with the price that he is commanding, I would rather go for a winger whose biggest strength is dribbling rather than someone like Barnes.
And that brings us on to our next player, and that is Jota of Celtic. Ryan Taylor says that Celtic's Jota is a player rated and admired by former Celtic boss Postecoglou, but it remains to be seen whether he'll feature as part of Tottenham's summer plans. He's one that I put in the transfer predictions yesterday that we brought to you, and I think this guy would fit the bill really well. We saw how he fitted into Ange Postecoglou's system last year and the last couple of years for Celtic, and I think he can transfer those skills into the Premier League.
Yeah, and in the Champions League as well, he did did seem to perform fairly well as well. So he seems to be able to perform at a higher level. As you say, he knows Ange's system well. He's a really good dribbler, so he's one who would really fit that bill as a winger, young, who can really take on his man one-on-one. So for me, that is, and in terms of price, I'm assuming he'll be cheaper than Barnes as well. So for me, he would actually be a better fit than Harvey Barnes, albeit I do think Harvey Barnes is probably a better player than Jota, but I actually think Jota might be a better fit for us than Harvey Barnes right now.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think Jota will probably accept coming off the bench a bit more than maybe a Harvey Barnes, who would look to maybe push on in his career a bit more, get into the England squad and stuff like that. But Jota, I think he's a younger player than Harvey Barnes as well, so I think he would fit the bill more. Next up, let's talk about Cuti Romero. This is a weird one. Gaston Edul saying that Juventus are interested in signing Tottenham central defender Christian Romero. Didn't we just sign him off Juventus 2 years ago?
Yeah, we did. That seems extremely odd if they're like all of a sudden want to come back in for him. First of all, how much, like, we signed him for what, 45 million? Like, how much? We're not going to accept anything less like 100. Like, the price has probably doubled. He's won the World Cup. I know he didn't have the best season last season, but obviously we've all seen Romero at his best in the Tottenham shirt, and he's clearly a very good defender. And obviously we saw him at his best at the World Cup, and he's clearly, look, I wouldn't say he's world class yet, but he could definitely has the potential to be with his ability. We would want a lot more than what we sold him for. He'd be interested in going back, because he did sign there after all in the first place. But I don't see how this is any way realistic for a Juventus team who don't have that much money right now as well. That a lot of Serie A teams have money troubles. I don't see Tottenham even willing to entertain this deal as well. So I don't see how this ever happens.
The only way I see it being entertained is because we did hear murmurings that Romero was unhappy, and that's the only way I could see it happening, if he really is that unhappy and he wants to leave.
Maybe
if that's the case, then maybe I can see it, but I wouldn't want to see him leave. But if he was to leave, then I could maybe see us getting a Tapsoba for the right and a Van de Ven for the left, and I think that would be a really nice kind of duo. But we would still need a couple more defenders as well to fill out the squad. But I really wouldn't want to see Cuti Romero leave. But I wouldn't say 100 million probably gets him if he does want to leave. I'd probably say maybe like a 70 to 80 million, something like that.
I think it's more than that. Because we signed him for 45. So it's going to be at least double.
Yeah.
I would say. Unless he's literally like striking. And look, is he really that desperate to leave? I haven't seen any indication he's that desperate.
No, there's no indication. We just heard murmurings, didn't we?
Yeah, and then we also heard Romero sees himself at Tottenham next season. That was the last update. So unless he's like really desperate to get out the door and he's like willing to go on strike and all that business, which I don't see any indication right now that that's the case. I honestly think, why would we sell for cheap?
I mean, I don't see like 70 to 80 million being cheap.
Yeah, he's a 24-year-old centre-back who's just won the World Cup, has shown good ability in a Tottenham shirt as well. So why, like, if they bid, if you reckon right now, forget whether he wants to leave or not, if they come right now and they put 80 million on the table, you reckon we accept that bid?
No.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
But I do think that if he kicks up a fuss to leave and he does want to leave, then we would consider it.
Yeah, maybe. That's a different case. But I don't see that being the case right now.
Next up, Harry Winks. We brought you the news earlier that talks are progressing between Harry Winks and Leicester. Leicester are now completing the paperwork to buy Harry Winks on a permanent deal from Tottenham Hotspur. 4-year contract to be signed in the coming hours. So this one is progressing nicely now.
4-year contract. Fantastic deal for everyone. I wish him all the best. Academy product. It's a shame because it did seem at the start he was going to be a really good player for us, but unfortunately things just, he's still got to pass the medical as well. When they all do that, we got to cross our fingers because we all know he's got this ankle problem, don't we?
Yeah, but he had a long stretch for Sampdoria. Once he got back into the team, I don't think he came out of it again.
Yeah. But that's not about having a medical. Having medicals is about examining the body to show whether this player is going to have any long-term effects with this injury. Yeah. We know he does have a long-term injury, so whether that affects medical, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, it won't. I don't think it will because he clearly can still play with it. But whether that shows up in medical and they decide against spending 10 million on him, we'll have to wait and see. But
as opposed to that, he had to pass a medical to sign for Sampdoria as well.
I mean, yeah, but that was only a year. This is 4 years. It's different. So maybe you think, look, with a year, you can get away with it. With 4 years, will he last? Maybe there's a question mark there. I don't know. I'm just speculating. But hopefully this gets done. I think it's a great deal for us to get that money in, and hopefully we can put that towards getting more players in.
And last but not least, a new Spurs friendly has been scheduled in for Sunday, the 6th of August. We will welcome Shakhtar Donetsk to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in a match that will be dedicated to the people of Ukraine. And maybe this will go some way for them not taking us to court to sign Manuel Solomon.
Yeah, we'll see about that. But I think it's a good cause. I'm glad that's happening. We'll probably be there as well. So good stuff.
All right, so there you have it. That is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding any of the news stories we've brought to you today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.